Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian, or the even of redness in the West. Page 1, Chapter 1. Childhood in Tennessee. Runs away. New Orleans. Fights. Is shot. To Galveston. Nugentaged. To Reverend Green. Judge Holden. An affair. Toadvine. Burn into hotel. Escape. See the child. He is pale and thin. He wears a thin, ragged linen shirt. He strokes a surly fire. Outside lie the dark churned fields, with the rags of snow in darker woods beyond beyond the harbor. And yet a few last wolves. His folk are known for the hewers of the wood and the drawers of water. But the truth his father has seen in a school master. He lies in drunk, he quotes from the poets whose names are now lost. The boy crouched by the fire and watches him. Night of your birth, 33. The Linders, they were called. God, how the stars did fell. I look for the blackness, holes in the heavens, the dipper stove. The mother died these 14 years, did inculcate in her own balsam of the creature who would carry her off. The father never spoke her name. The child does not know it. He has a sister in the world that he will not see again. He watches pale and unwashed. He can neither read nor write in books, already taste for the mindless murders. All history presents the visage that the child, the father of the man. At 14, he runs away. He will not see again in the freezing kitchen house, in the pre-dawn dark, the firewood, the washpots. He wanders west as far as Montpist, a solitary migrant upon that flat pastoral landscape. The blacks in the fields, lank and stopped, their fingers spider-like among the bowls of cotton. They stooped their fingers, shadow agony in the garden, against the sun, declining figures, moving slower dusk, across the paper skyline. A lone dark husband pursuing male mule, and a hurtle down a rain, blow bottomless toward the night. A year later, he's in St. Louis. He's taken on for New Orleans aboard a flatboat. 42 days later on the river, at the night steamboats, the dredge passed throughout the black waters, all like all alike the cities adrift. They break apart, they break up the float, and sell the lumber, and he walks in the streets. He hears tongues he has not heard before. He lives in a room above the courtyard, behind a tavern. He comes down at the night like some fairy book beast to fight with sailors. He is not big, but he has big wrists, big hands. His shoulders are set across. The child's face is curious and untouched behind the scars. The eyes oddly innocent. They fight with their fists and with feet, with bottles or knives, all races, all breeds. The men whose speeches sound like grunting of apes, men from lands so far in queer, queer, that stand over them, where they lie bleeding in the mud. He feels mankind itself is vindicated. On a certain night, a mousy boatswain shoots him in the back with a small pistol, swinging do damage with the man. He is shot again just below the heart. The man flees. He learns again at the bar, the blood running out of his shirt. The others look at him while he sits on the floor. He lies in a coat room upstairs for 2 weeks, where the tavkeeper's wife attends him. She brings him meals. She cares for him out of the slops. A hard-working woman with a weary like body, like like a man. By the time he's mended to, he has no money to pay her. He leaves in the night and sleeps on the riverbank until he can find a boat that will take him on. The boat is going to Texas. Only now is a child, finally devastated of all that he has been. His origins are becoming remote. His destiny, not again, and the world's churning will be their terrain. So wild and barren to try whenever the staff of creation may be shaped, may be shaped, may be shaped to the man will whenever his heart is not another kind of clay. The passengers are different a lot. The cage, their hearts. No man asks another what is that brings him here. He sleeps on the deck, a pilgrim among the others. He watches the dim shore rise on the fall, gray seabirds growling, flights of pelican coatwise above the gray swells. They disembark aboard the lighter settlers with the chattels, all studying the low coastline, the thin bite of sun, the scrub pine, and the swimming in the haze. He walked through a narrow street of the port. The air smells of salt and new sawn lumber. At night, the horrors called to him from the dark like souls in want. A week later, he is on the move again. A few dollars in his purse. That he has earned. Walking the sand roads of the southern night alone, his hands are balled in cotton pockets of his cheap coat. Irvin causeways across the marshland, ear grates in their rocketeries, white as candles. Among the moss, the wind has a raw edge to it. He leaves sorry. He leaves the rope by the roadside, the skelter on the night fields. He moves north through a small set of tenements, the farms, working for days' wages and found. He seeks a parcellate, hanged in the crossroads hamlet, and the man's friends run forward, and he pulls his legs. He hangs dead from his rope while urine darkens his trousers. He works in a sawmill. He works in a dairy pest house. He's taken as pavement farmer and an aged mule and a backed animal. In the spring of the year 1849, he rides up through the latter-day Republic of Fredonia in the town of Notchest. The Reverend Green has been playing to the full house daily, as long as long had been failing in the rain that he had been fallen for. 2 weeks when the kid ducked into the Raleigh caverns. There there was standing in the room along the walls, a place or two, with such a headly week of wet and batheless. They themselves were sadly forced into the downpour, now again for the fresh air, before the rain drove them in again. He stood there with the others kind along him. The one thing they may have discussed discouraged him in the crowd was that he was not armed. The neighbors said the Reverend, he couldn't stay out of these here hellholes right here in Newgadist. I said to him, you gonna take that son I said to him, you gonna take the son of a gun in there with you, eh? And he said, "Oh, no, I ain't." And I said, "Do you know what he said? I will feller, yea. I always even unto the end of the road." Well, he said, "I ain't ask anybody to go nowheres." And I said, "Neighbor, you don't need to ask. He's gonna be there with ye every step of the way. Eh? Ask or ye do not." I said, "Neighbor, you cannot get a shed of him. Now, are you gonna drag him to the hellhole yonder? You ever you ever such a place for him for the rain?" The kid had been watching the Reverend. He turned to the man who spoke. He wore a long mustache, after the fashion of Teamsters. He wore a white brim hat with a low, round crown. He was lightly watered. He was watching the kid earnestly, as if he knew his opinion of the rain. "I just got here," said the kid. "Well, it beats all I've seen," the kid nodded. An enormous man, dressed in an oilcloth sculler, had entered the tent, removed his hat. He was bald as a stone, and he had no trace of a beard. He had no brows to his eyes, nor lashes. He was so close onto 7 feet in height. He stood there smoking a cigar, even in his Norman house of God, and he seemed to have removed his hat only to chase the rain from it now. He put it on again. The Reverend stopped beside him altogether. There was no sound in the tent. All watched the man. He adjusted the hat. Then he pushed way then he pushed his way forward as far as to crayboard the pulpit, where the Reverend stood there. There, he turned to address the Reverend's congregation. His face was sneer and strangely childlike, his hands small. He held them out. "Ladies and gentlemen, I feel it is my duty to inform you." Sorry. "Ladies and gentlemen, I feel it is my duty to inform you the man holding this revival is an impostor. He holds no papers of divinity from any institution recognized or approved. He is he is altogether a devoid of the least qualification to office. He is an upspurt, only committed to memory of a few passages from the good book, for the purpose of lending to the fraudulent sermons. Some faint favors of the pivotary he despised. And the truth, the gentleman stand there before you, is imposing the minister of the Lord is not totally illiterate, but is also wanted by the law of the of states of Kentucky, states of Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Arkansas. "Oh God," cried the Reverend, "lies! Lies!" He began to read viciously from the Bible. "On the very charges most recent of which involved a girl of 11 years old," I said 11, "who had come to him in the trust, whom he had surprised in the act of violating her, well, actually clothed in the livery of God." A moan slipped through the crowd. A lady sank to her knees. "This is him," cried the Reverend, sobbing. "This is him, the devil! Here he stands! Let's hang the herd!" "Turd," called the ugly thug from the gallery. Not 3 weeks later, before he ran he ran out to Fort Smith, Arkansas, for having a congress with a goat. Yes, lady, this is what I said. A goat. "Why, damn my eyes, if I don't shoot the son of a bitch," said the man rising far aside from the tent and drawing the pistol from his boot. He levered and fired at a young teamster, instantly produced a knife from his cloth, and stormed the tent and stepped outside in the rain. The kid followed. They ducked low, the rain across the mud, towards a hotel. Already gunfire within the tent. Dozens of exits had been hacked through the convent's wall. The people were pouring out. The women screaming, folks stumbling. The folks under trembled underfoot. The kid and his friend reached the hotel gallery and wiped the water from his eyes and churned as he watched. They did so, a tent swayed and buckled like a huge wandering Medusa. It slowly sat there. The bald-headed man was already at the bar when they entered. On the polished wood before him there was two hats, a double handful of coins. He raised his glass, but not to them. They stood up there for the bar and ordered the whiskeys. The kid laid his money down for the barman and pushed it back with his thumb knotted. These are here. These are here is on the judge, he said. They drank. The teamster set his glass down and looked at the kid, or he seemed to. He couldn't be sure of his glaze. The kid looked down the bar. One of the judge stood. The bar was tall. Not every man could even get his elbows up there, but just the waist, the judge's waist, he even stood with his hands placed flat-wise on the wood, leaning slightly, as if to give another address. By now the man sorry. By now the men were piling for the doorway, bleeding, covered in mud, cursing. They gathered about the judge. A pose was being drawn to the pursuit of preacher. Judge, how do you come to have the goods on the no account? Good, said the judge. When was you in Fort Smith? Fort Smith? Where do you know? What do you know? What do you know him to get all the stuff on him? You mean Reverend Green? Yes, sir. I reckon you was in Fort Smith for yay. He came out there. I was never in Fort Smith my entire life. Doubt he was there. Doubt he was there. They looked from him, one to another. Well, where was he up there, running up there? I never laid eyes on the man before. Never have heard of the man. I never laid eyes on the man. So I never, I never laid eyes on the man before today. Never even heard of the man. He raised his glass and drank. There was a strange silence from the rooms. The men looked like mild image. Finally, someone began to laugh. There's another soon. They were all laughing together. Someone bought the judge a drink. So I'm gonna pause right here, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a wonderful day.